Nathan Wells. Whole thing we do is working with educators in schools to integrate technology, to integrate it successfully, to help learners do their best. There's some pretty awesome examples we've had lately of being able to go into some schools and work directly with students. And I was actually just in LA last week as a judge for their Minecraft build challenges. It was a kind of an esports type event that they'd been working on for a couple of months, and we got to judge the finals. It was a lot of fun. So we love getting to do that kind of stuff and be a part of those types of events. So love to connect with you. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Love to stay connected. So in our short time together today, we're going to talk through these three main things. I'm going to show an example of how I started with my students teaching Minecraft in an after-school program, and how I've seen a lot of people get started using the coding tutorials. I'll then show a very simple lesson that you can see the lesson materials, the PowerPoint materials, and the guides that kind of help lead through that to get started. And then what does that look like if you wanted to use Minecraft as like a teaching resource to teach computer science in a course, in a school, in a summer program? We've seen that also. So what does that look like? So that's where we're headed. And one of the questions that I like to address straight off the front is, how does Minecraft help support computer science? And when we say teaching computer science, teaching CS, teaching coding with Minecraft, what do we mean by that? So one of the first things we talk about in a training, and all the things we talk about today can be a part of a much larger training. A lot of times we do like a 1-day, or we do like 4 90-minute virtual sessions. So this can be a part of a much longer training, but just to kind of get you caught up and get you some resources today, we're going to talk through kind of some shorter abbreviated pieces of that. And one of those is vocabulary. So I love introducing students and getting students talking about the academic vocabulary that supports your standards, supports what they need to be learning so they can take this and move forward with it. So this is a very simple thing we always walk students through, or I suggest walking students through when it comes to introducing any type of computer science, but specifically how we're going to be using Minecraft to teach that. So algorithm. Algorithm is simply the sequence of defined steps. And to do that, we have to show students that they need to define those steps, but there's sometimes ways that we can make that simpler. So we call that pattern recognition. We find that, hey, this thing has to happen 3 times in a row. Well, that's called a loop. How can we make that simpler? Help us solve a larger problem with patterns and similarities. Then, or at the same time, we talk about sequencing, which is the step-by-step actions. So in order for our algorithm to be successful, we have to give it very specific steps, which we call sequencing. So we talk through those things with students. And the system we use in Minecraft is called MakeCode. You may have heard of other coding programs that are online that you can use. MakeCode is one of those. If you went to makecode.com right now, you could get on and you could start playing with a coding platform. There's some great 100% virtual options on there, like the MakeCode Arcade. You can actually have students create their own video game online, which is really fun. But it's also built into Minecraft. And so it's a hands-on computing opportunity. It's free. You can do it all in the game. You can do it as a part of an external piece like the microbits or Makey devices that are external hardware that you can code in makecode.com and then plug in the Makey or microbit and actually see it come to life and do something. So it's pretty cool. And it also has a progression of block to Java to Python. And we'll get into what that curriculum could look like as we go through some of the material. But the Microsoft MakeCode platform is free. It supports a whole bunch of different things, but specifically, we're going to look at what it looks like inside of Minecraft. And this is our hero of the day, our little character here that they call the agent. And our little agent helps us get things done. So when we give him the sequence, when we give him the algorithm of what we want done, we can actually watch him actually build something, solve a puzzle, move something, plant flowers, whatever it is that we're telling him to do. And that's one of the things that I think makes Minecraft and coding in Minecraft really successful and engaging for students, is as soon as they put in that code and hit play, they see the agent do what they've asked it to do. And so that's a really rewarding thing, is for them to be able to see that happen. And we're going to also provide you with some resources today, and I'll send those in a follow-up email as well, that kind of help guide through and show some lessons of how to introduce those pieces. So a lot of times when we introduce those lessons, one of the things I recommend is just starting with very simple code builder tutorials. So I'm going to open the game in a second, but when I open the game, the easiest thing to do is, once you get into a world, is hit the letter C on a keyboard. So if a student's using a laptop of any kind, they can just click C, or if they're on a touchscreen device or a tablet of some type, at the top of Minecraft Education, I should clarify that. This is in the Education edition of Minecraft only, not in the Consumer edition. If they're in the Education edition, they'll have the little agent icon. You can see I put that right up here in the middle of the screen. That's what it'll look like. This is actually a screenshot from an iPad, and you can see there's some touch controls at the bottom and the top, and right there's our little agent character. And when they click on that, it opens up this code builder that you see on the right side of my screen, and they can use that then to participate. Well, I'm going to use Make Code, which is the first option in the code builder. And when I click on that, it opens up this screen. You'll see it again when I open up Minecraft in a moment. And in here, we can just click Start New Project. You can just jump right in. You don't have to have a detailed lesson plan. You don't have to have anything prepared as an educator to have students just jump in. So if students are familiar with Minecraft, if they're familiar with even block coding or Java, you could have them like just go and build, like go do something amazing. Show me what you've learned. Show me what you understand about code. Just let them try it out. You can also have them, instead of just starting from a blank slate, we can have them do some of the tutorials. And these tutorials are really helpful specifically for our younger or new to coding learners, because they're very step-by-step. And one of the things I appreciate is that they only provide you the blocks that you need for that tutorial. So if I were to just click New Project and just start from a blank slate, it's going to have every option, especially in blocks of code, every block that I could possibly use in the game. And that can be a lot, especially for younger learners. So it's nice to have the tutorials where it breaks down and just provides you the blocks you need for that tutorial. We're going to see the same thing in a little bit when I open up a lesson. And the lessons that are very step-by-step guided for students, they do the same thing. So it's a really helpful starting point to just have it broken down nice and easy. So that's what we're going to look at. And so to start, I'm going to open up Minecraft Education, and we're going to jump in together. All right, so I'm already in a world. I've already loaded up my world here. And this is just, I just clicked New World. So there's nothing set up here ahead of time. And I've already clicked C once. So you can see my little agent has appeared, and he just pops up with my name. And here's what I was talking about before. I can click New Project, or I can try one of the tutorials. Chicken Rain is a popular one. Another popular one is Super Jump or Mega Jump. There it is, Mega Jump. I also like Agent Tower. And the Agent Tower is a really helpful one because pretty quickly, students realize coding can help them build whatever they're trying to build in Minecraft a lot faster. But a lot of students struggle, especially at the beginning, with getting the agent to do any kind of structure to build the first layer and then start the second layer without messing up the first couple of blocks. And so going through the Agent Tower tutorial really helps them break that down and understand how to do that. For our purposes, I'm just going to do the fun Chicken Rain. And then right from the start, it says, do you want to use block, Python, or JavaScript? I'm just going to use block for our example. And this is what it's going to do. So it shows us what it's going to do for us. So I can click OK. And then here's our tutorial at the top part of the screen. Put on the chat command and rename it to chicken. So I'm going to type, instead of the word run, I'm going to type in chicken. Great. I'm going to go next. Now put in spawn. So you see the color coded. So I'm going to go to mobs and click spawn and drag that. Go. And code under on chat command, right? So I did that. And then we're going to leave it at about 000. So this is when it has the little squigs beside the number, that's relative to your character. So wherever your character is, that's where that's going to take place. And then I click next, and it says where we want to spawn the chickens. So we're going to change that relative, the second number, is where they are in the world. So I'm going to put it 10, which is vertical. So above, if I were to do negative, it would be below ground, right? So I'm going to do 10 above. And again, relative to where I am. And then we're going to push T, and we're actually going to try this out, which is really fun. I apologize. That out of the way. So I'm going to click play, and then I'm going to T, I'm going to type chicken, enter, and I'm going to step back. Oh, there's something missed. Oh, there he is. There's our chicken. Yay, there came our chicken. Awesome, right? So there our little chicken came running down. So I'm going to click C again, and we're going to come back. So you notice we're not done. This was only step number 5. So great, we had one little chicken fly. Awesome. But he's lonely. So we can go to our green blocks and grab a loop, put it around the spawn. So you see how I just clicked and dragged it. And then how many times we want this repeated? Well, let's do 100 like it says. Now we've completed, and we're going to do it again. So I'm going to click play. All right, so get ready for this. It's kind of crazy. So I'm going to do T for talk, type in chicken, hit enter, and then immediately back up. There they come. So wherever I walk, remember, because it's relative to where I am, so they kind of spread out. And there's all the chickens. Oh my goodness. There's lots of chickens everywhere. So that's how the tutorials work. They're very simple. They walk you through step by step. That is the most basic tutorial, meaning that it's a really quick and easy one. It gives you just a couple of simple instructions. Some of the tutorials go through a lot more, and so they go through a lot of different pieces. So that depends on which one you're using, and which one you're getting into will be based on that. Okay, we're going to come back to what I'm doing in just a moment. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Now, the other thing we can do is we can use a lesson. And in our lessons, we can use the materials that are already pre-created. But before we do that, I want to ask you a question. You can put this in the chat if you want to use the chat. How can you see what we just did, like the very basic tutorials? How can you see you using that for yourself to learn, or using it with students? So is there something you just saw, maybe one of the example tutorials, either the one I did or some of the others? How can those be helpful for you? I'm just going to give you a second to add that to the chat. And then we're going to talk about a very basic lesson to get started with, other than tutorials, if you don't use the tutorials. So one of my favorite things about those tutorials is it gives students some choice. So if I go back to the screenshot, you'll notice there's agent build, agent move, chicken ring, Medica jump, flower trail, super digger, walk on water. There are a lot of tutorials. I actually don't know off the top of my head how many there are. And so one of the things you can tell students is, hey, I want everybody to do chicken ring just to make sure everybody knows how to get into the tutorials. And then you can say, hey, you have 10 minutes, you have 5 minutes, whatever it is, try however many tutorials you can get done in that time. And how would you change the tutorials? And that's one of my favorite things to see students do in Minecraft, is get the basics and then get creative. So they start realizing in code, I can change one thing and the outcome is going to be different. And so they start to get in and iterate on the different code, get to iterate on the different pieces in there, which is kind of exciting. Okay, thanks for participating. So the other thing I want to point out is one of my favorite lessons, and it's called Sea Turtle Assistance. So this is a part of the CS curriculum called Coding Fundamentals. Fun is usually capitalized, as in it's a really fun, but also a very basic place for people to start. And this one works with what we call pseudocode. So again, that's block coding to create algorithms. And you have to fix things. You have to figure out what you did wrong. That iterative process comes into play here. Students start working in sequencing and pattern recognition. They get to use loops maybe for the first time, depending on where you are in this process. And they keep working on that. So that's a really fun process for them. So we're going to look at that world together. And I just want to show you a couple of things really quick about that. All right, so here we are back in Minecraft. And in the Minecraft lesson library, I went to computer science, I went to block coding, and then under block coding, I went to coding fundamentals. Actually, I went to upper primary because I knew where it was at. Then I went to coding fundamentals and keyboard. If you're using a touch screen, I would recommend going to that part of it, because if a student's using an iPad, the tutorial gives them those specific things to look for and click. So it is really helpful to choose touch if they're using some type of tablet or touch screen that they would rather use. And then coding fundamentals 1. I like CTurtles. Basic moves is really great if you have a student that's never done anything in Minecraft specifically, but also just hasn't coded in Minecraft before. It's a great starting point. But CTurtles is one of my favorites. This is tells us about our standards, where we're at, what we're doing, and then lesson plan. We're going to go to this after I show you the world, but this is, you can look for this in all of the Minecraft lesson library in the game. Whenever you go to a lesson, you can click on that lesson plan icon and it will open the website and take you right to the lesson plan, give you your standards. If there's any kind of presentation or lesson plan, you'll be able to see all that. So I'm just going to click create world. And if you've used it before, obviously you can just open the one you've already opened, but this starts us from the beginning. And because this is a custom, like, curriculum focused world, it has some extra things in it that if you were just to go and have students open a brand new world, they wouldn't have access to. So we have a character here that gets us ready, tells us what we're going to be doing, and he gives us a tool. Now, this is one of those things I want to point out. We don't have a tool like this normally in Minecraft worlds, and it's called a radio. And he uses that, you'll see it here in a second, as a way to reset our code. Normally in Minecraft, if you weren't in one of these guided worlds, you would have no way to reset your code. Students would have to go in and manually move things around. So that's just an FYI. So it tells us to push C to code. It opens up that same piece, and you see up here, it gives us our tutorial of what to do. So move agent forward, and then we're going to change this to the word play. Well, that's not what we're going to do. I'm just going to leave it as run. And then it tells us what to do, right? And it wants us to actually try each of those pieces. So I'm going to click the green play button, and there he is. And you notice in my inventory, I have a radio. So I can always reset the activity by right-clicking if I have a mouse, or two-finger click on a Chromebook or Mac, depending on how it's set up. So that's one of those things that's different depending on a touchscreen or what device you're using. So I can go back to C, and it wants me to run that. Okay, and then it tells us what we're going to be doing. So we're going to try to get to the gate. And so you can see I have forward and I have left and I have right, and I click the little drop down and I can change that. So I can see, I like having my screen half like this. You can make it full screen. I like having my screen halfway so I can kind of see where my agent is, and then I can count where he's at. So he needs to go 1, 2, 3, turn right 1, turn left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, turn left 1, turn right 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have that in my head, and then we can get him to do those things. So this was, I believe it was 3, turn right, forward 1, turn left, forward 4, I believe it was, turn left, forward 1, turn right, forward, I want to say it was 4. This one was 5. So we're just going to try that. And then again, T to talk. And I can type in whatever code it is I said. So there he goes. Ooh, ooh. Oh, he got it. So I was slightly off right here. He went forward 1 too many and then turned. But on this first activity, that doesn't matter as long as I get to the end. It's good practice, though. And we're going to do that same type of activity here to get this gate. But as we get down, we're going to have to clear the debris so the turtles can get through. So it's a really fun and engaging activity. The next one after this, you clean up the trash, and then you try to get the baby turtles through and navigate the little area so they can get to the water. And then you see all little baby turtles take off. It's really cute and fun. So it's a really engaging activity, and it's a fun way for our students, our learners, to be able to participate and see their code actually work and have a purpose, right? So it's one of those things where it gets them actually like, okay, the point is to save the sea turtles. There's another one where you're helping a polar bear. There's another one where you're working with Arctic wolves. So they're really engaging and really cute activities. So when we're doing these, what can we use them as a part of? So there is these standalone activities. We looked at the standalone tutorial. Another standalone activity I like to do is to actually create a maze. So you have students, preferably in partners, you could have them do them by themselves too, go in and actually build a maze by hand, right? Placing blocks one at a time, and then guide their agent through the maze. Then it's fun to go back and say, okay, now you've seen how to do this, have your agent create a maze. So that's a whole different type of coding, which can be really fun. Now, the other thing though, is that Minecraft has created a computer science progression. And if you follow this pathway, there's actually enough lessons and different differentiated lessons that you can use all the way from lower elementary all the way through high school. I've even seen examples in college and upper university. So there's some really amazing materials you can get into. All of this is on the website. That's where I got this from. This is on the website. And it's just Minecraft.education. So I'm putting this in that chat, and then I'll also add it in the email as a follow-up. So Minecraft.education.net. And so these are great places that you can find all of this material. And I'll have the specific link to the computer science pathways in the follow-up email as well. And so the lesson I showed you with the coding fundamentals with the turtle rescue, that's considered an elementary lesson, as you can probably guess by looking at it. But then you can go quickly to the next one where they actually build a small town, and that would be more of like a middle school level. And then they have the Python, they're using Python coding, and there's this whole outer space, Seymour Islands, where they're going to outer space and coding these different things. It's really fun and really cool graphics and helps them kind of get excited. So there's this progression all the way through. And what I love about, especially the elementary lessons, is they actually do a really good job of focusing on offline activities to help them understand, to stand up out of their seats, to say, okay, algorithmic, I need to have a specific sequence. So their partner says, take a step forward, now turn left, right? The whole, we used to do the peanut butter and jelly analogy, where it's like, okay, to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, what's the first step? And students would kind of start talking like, well, actually, I don't have the bread. Well, I need a knife. I need something to spread it with. I need to open the lid. So being very specific with their instructions and getting them talking about it, which is great. So if you have a time after this, go in and pick a lesson, go through the lesson guide and look at it. So I'm going to share my screen again, and then we'll come back to this. This is where I'm going to take you. It is a Wakelet. If you're familiar with Wakelet, it is just a collection of resources. So I'll put this in the chat as well. And this Wakelet has links to a number of different things. But one of the main things I'm going to highlight today is the lessons that we're looking at in the Minecraft website. So this is the lesson I showed you. So the Sea Turtle Assistance, this is what the web page looks like. Again, gives us our objectives. There's some teacher notes here. But on the right, I want to point out the supporting files. So this is the actual lesson guide and formative assessment. This is actually a presentation, so it's a PowerPoint that you can use and some overviews. Always check the external resources as well. This one has a download link to the world. Sometimes there's some extra resources depending on the lesson guide there. When I hover over Teach with Minecraft, I can click on Computer Science, and this takes me to where that entire pathway is. So I can jump right into one of those lesson collections I was talking about. They've also added cybersecurity lessons. And then I can come down and I can look at the different pieces that they have here. So block coding, what does AI look like? What does cybersecurity look like? So I can jump into different areas and see what they're doing here. So I'm going to go to coding with blocks, because it's the one we looked at a second ago. And this shows me all the different lessons, worlds, that they specifically built around block coding. And so you can see down here, there's links and goes back to what we're doing. And I'm going to click on Computer Science Subject Kit. And this kind of shows me the different things that are in the subject kits. Now, this is that Wakelet collection I was talking about. And two things I want to point out in the Wakelet collection There are some resources here just to help you get started. This is the Minecraft Teacher Academy. So if you or a colleague is interested in this, but you've not used Minecraft in your classroom before, this is a great starting point. Side note, a lot of times we get asked too, can you do anything like 3D printing? And you can. So this is a link to kind of learn more about that. I won't go into that right now. And then these are some suggested lessons to get started. And then this is the Block Coding Academy. So when we do like a 6-hour training, this is an online asynchronous version of that. This one's the Python Coding Academy. And then this takes you right into the coding fundamentals curriculum that I was talking about. You can actually get in and look at what is in there and how that's put together. There's also PDF lessons for each of those. When you look at the subject kit, you can get into each of those as well, which is really helpful. So that is kind of a quick overview of the Minecraft Education CS materials and what you can get into and kind of how they're put together. The only other thing I would point out for today, at least, is open up one of the lesson plans and actually see the pieces that come with it and all the different tutorials and vocab and kind of how it's structured. One of my favorite things about all of their lessons is for those that are not as comfortable or have not done much coding in Minecraft, it gives you all of the guides showing you exactly what the solution is, which is hugely helpful, especially when you're in a time crunch. You're like, oh my goodness, I don't remember how many that one was. Well, it was 8552315, right? So you have that and you can quickly look at it, which is really helpful. So that's another thing I wanted to point out. And there are PowerPoints to go with each of them as well. All right. Well, again, I hope this was helpful and can help you get started in your exploration of teaching computer science or using Minecraft to aid you in that. Love for you to stay in contact. Reach out if you have any questions. Again, I'm at EdTechWells on Instagram and Twitter. You can also find me on LinkedIn if you just have questions or just share. One of my favorite things from a webinar we did like this earlier in the year, somebody just tagged me and like, hey, here's what our class just did once they were doing the Hour of Code World, specifically in Minecraft. And it was just awesome to see them sharing that and just being tagged in that. I was able to kind of see what they did and say congrats and ask them some questions. That was kind of cool. So stay in touch. Let me know. You can put in the chat now, or you can reach out later. I'd love to hear what you're doing, what you've tried, or anything you're looking for to move forward. So thanks again for joining us today. And I will send all of these resources and more in a follow-up. And also what webinars we have coming up. We do webinars at least once a month throughout the school year, talking about what you can do, different materials and options that are out there, and other things that we think might interest you. So thanks again for jumping in and have a great rest of your day. Take care, everybody.